I got in the Sega Master System a year earlier, and I loved a lot of the games that I'd played, but nothing prepared me for when I unwrapped that copy of Shinobi. I loved the arcade game, and I knew it had to be coming out in the Sega Master System eventually, but back then, games didn't have release dates. You didn't know when they were going to be out until they would show up at the local department store. My mom somehow was able to get a copy of Shinobi, and I freaked out when I opened it on Christmas Eve. I mean, look at this picture. This is me immediately after opening the present. While this version comes nowhere near the quality of the arcade game that I'd spend loads of time playing at the local bowling alley every Saturday morning, it was really about as faithful as a port could be expected at the time. Besides, I never even made it past the first couple of levels in the arcade. Now I could see what was beyond that. Actually though, I don't have a lot of memories of Shinobi beyond this Christmas. It was just okay. And it was just a couple of short years away from being totally overshadowed in every way by Revenge of Shinobi.
If you don't have the brains or the guts for this assignment, give the controls to someone who does.
So this one's pretty weird, right? The Sega CD launch was pretty devoid of any real good games. I mean, besides the pack-ins. But Sega decided that the full-motion video genre was the way of the future. They released both Night Trap and Sewer Shark in the launch window. The latter was probably the better game, but faced with a choice, what's a 14-year-old boy who is just starting to discover late-night HBO horror movies going to pick? Yep, Night Trap. And you know what? I loved it. Everything from the creepy, whatever these things are, the cheesy trap doors, and the absolutely awful acting.
So, Sarah, we're in this huge house with all your friends. We have telephones, we have a car, your parents are gone, and you say, so?
Come on, Sarah, what's the first thing you think of?
Party!
And who can forget this stupid theme song?
You'll be caught in the night, night trap. Come on, you'll be fine.
If I believed in guilty pleasures, Night Trap would be the very definition. It is a really bad game, with almost zero gameplay to speak of, but I think it's something you just had to be there to really appreciate. Or not appreciate.
I'm pulling the plug on you before you do any more damage.
I loved the first Zillion game, so there's no reason not to expect greatness from the sequel. Wow, what a disappointment. Which sucks because seriously, a motorcycle that turns into a flying robot suit? Come on, there's no part of that sentence that doesn't sound awesome. We unfortunately got something that is so far from the original, which, to be fair, was often par for the course for sequels at the time, but it just doesn't work here. They made it into an arcade-style platforming shooter with none of the puzzle elements that made the first game so great. It does look pretty good though, and has some decent tunes, but that wasn't enough to save it. Look, the title screen never even says Zillion 2, almost like they just slapped the name on the box after the game was done. This was such a disappointment that I barely played it beyond the first couple levels, and sold it off at a garage sale the very next summer. I hunted down a copy just to see if I misjudged it all those years ago, and yeah, it's still pretty bad. Granted, it's not nearly as bad as I remember. The original still kills it though.